What's good? Bienvenidos aquí a Golden Era. Para todos aquellos que sois fans de boxeo de verdad, suscribiros aquí. Tenemos nada menos que a Steven Nelson. We got Steven Nelson here, who is actually ex-boxer, I think. And, well, I don't know what happened to you, man. Like, you kind of
No,
disappeared for a
I'm,
little bit.
I'm current. I'm a current boxer, man. I'm just. I had an injury last year. I tore my Achilles.
Oh,
People who don't know, um, I was on a come up as I had the I made a NABO WBO title, and I had an injury. I tore my Achilles in training, and last year I was recovering. But this year I've been ready. I've been training all year. Just been trying to land a fight, but just had a little bit of promotional issues and stuff with Top Rank, and
oh.
now that I'm out of that contract, I'm supposed to be fighting with Bud on December 10th here in Omaha.
Okay.
Comeback fight. Um, and you
Do,
guys
do,
are still for me, man.
do you have any opponent that you want to fight? Is there any particular opponent that you want to fight?
Right now, I'm trying to get my feet back wet. I'm not here to. Oh, I want to fight the
No.
top guys to fight for world title. Like realistically, no, I'm not going to go in there and fight for a world title or even a title eliminator right now. I just want to get my feet back wet. You want to get back out there and get back on the scene. Cause I've been out the ring for over 2 years. My last fight was, I believe, September 3rd of 2020. So it's been over 25 months for me. So just want to get back in there. Just want to get back in there and fill it out again. It's been so long.
Uh,
Um,
your division, 168, is having this issue where it seems like Canelo Alvarez just doesn't seem to want to fight David Benavidez. You think there's a reason behind why he won't want to take that fight, or many of the fighters there don't want to take that fight?
I mean, me honestly, at first I was like, it's a good business move. He just trying to focus on getting the titles. But now that you have all the titles, now you got to make the big fights. Now you have all the titles. Like, there's no reason why you not fighting these guys. Like at first he was using, oh, you have nothing for me. You don't have a title, you don't have anything. But now that there's no titles for him to get anymore. It's all about the legacy and making great fights for the fans. And right now, it's upsetting for that fight not to be already, um, in the works of getting worked out. Benavidez or Charlos, somebody is Andre, like somebody big. Like, what other fights is there for them to fight?
It seems like there's a lot of fighters who are kind of ducking each other in today's boxing world. It's sad to say, but I mean, I know the story of many of these fighters. Do you think there's a particular reason why certain fighters don't want to take certain risks, and do you think that would affect their legacy in the future?
It's sad to say because I love Floyd Mayweather, but I call it the Mayweather effect. Like everybody now want to turn boxing into, oh, it's about the business. It's about want to keep their like, let's fight. Like, this is the name of the sport. It's two people in the ring. Somebody got to lose. So why is there all this protection of your and just like basketball and stuff and football, you can take loss and still be a champion. That stuff shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter, and it's sad to say. Like, I don't understand it. Um, but a lot of times, it's not always the fighters. A lot of times it's the managers and the promoters that are in the way.
You think that, but I know by the standards of regulation that the fighter always has the last say in the contract. Do you think they influence the fighter in order for them not to fight
That
certain fights?
that's not always true. People always say, "Oh, it's up to the fighters." A lot of times, it's not up to the fighters. You got to understand, fighters when they sign to a promotional company, the promotional company nowadays have the last say so.
Hmm.
That's why for years Bud didn't get the fights that he wanted under Top Rank. That's was the reason why the Errol Spence and Bud fight is not happening now. And it's crazy, like to see people like, "Oh, I'm Team Bud, I'm Team Spence, and he's ducking, he's ducking." I don't believe either. Well, no, I ain't gonna say I believe. I know that neither one of these fighters are ducking each other. But you know who's in the way now? Al Heyman. That's who's in the way of this.
But I contact fighters from PBC before, and asked them the question about fighting Bud Crawford, and they seem like they don't want to fight him. So it's impossible to make a negotiation with somebody who's not willing to fight with that boxer, and it's probably because they feel like they're probably going to be humiliated in the ring, which is probably what's going to happen, and that might end their their undefeated record or whatever, and then
Yeah, but there
they
is
shut him down.
now, now granted, there is fighters who like, nah, that's not a good fight for me. Want to fight, or their manager or their coach come to them and say, "Hey, what you think about fighting this guy?" And they're like, "Nah." There is those cases, but a lot of the cases, those fighters can say, I want to fight," but it's still at the end of the day, it's up
Mhm.
to the promoter, your advisors, who say, nah, we're not going to do that right now. Or they won't even say it like that. They will hide it behind other reasons
Hmm.
and say, oh, well, we can't make that fight happen because this and
Hmm.
this is going on with their team. And they will make excuses.
Okay.
Excuses
Okay.
about- But the whole time it's the promoter like, nah, I don't want this fight to happen yet.
All right. So here's a few interesting questions specifically for this Bud fight and Terence Crawford. There's a lot of people who are accusing, and I don't believe it, but
All right.
they're accusing, um, they're accusing Bud Crawford of basically ducking Errol Spence. What do you have to say about that?
It's foolishness. The only people who saying that are the people who's like ride or die Spence fans. They want to use every narrative to make it seem like Bud don't want to fight and don't know Bud personally. Like Bud's too competitive to even duck anybody. Like Bud has always wanted the best fights. It's just always been promotional issues or, you know, teams not lining up and trying to make the things happen. Or, you know, a lot of times other teams will use stall tactics, I call them. They'll offer Bud, or they'll say, "Yeah, okay, I'll fight Bud, but I want $20 million," like something that's unrealistic. It's like knowing that it's not going to work. In this case with Errol Spence, I feel like the stall tactic is let's offer Bud something that he might turn down. So they offer a crazy. It was a crazy offer, not to speak his business, but he was definitely getting the short end of the money generated. And this is like rare, almost never happened where there's no purse guarantee. They're splitting the net. They're splitting the net. That's after everything's paid out. And Bud was like, you know what? I want this fight so bad. I'll worry about money after this. I'll take the short end. I'll take this fight. He agreed to the short end. So all that people talk about, oh, Bud asking for something that he's not bringing to the table. Let's throw that out the window now because Bud agreed to it. He agreed to the short end.
Right. And there was 35%, right? I mean,
Everybody's saying 60-40. No, they dropped it down to 65-35.
so that is a true rumor. That's not a joke. That is true,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Like, I'm gonna knock. Because he's so confident that he gonna beat Spence that he like, okay, after I beat Spence, now I'll be the man that calls all the plays now. So he
Mhm.
agreed to it, and in my eyes, I felt like they was like, oh wow, oh he agreed to it. So now, but like, okay, if we're gonna do a net split, I need to know what money is coming in and what's going out. I want to be because Bud's his own promoter now. He's not behind Top Rank or anybody.
Right.
Now Bud is sitting at the table with Al Heyman. Spence ain't even at the table. Let's throw Spence out the equation right now. This is Bud and Al Heyman.
But he does have to talk to Al Heyman as well. I mean, they have to talk. I mean, he has to accept the fight. He has to sign it. I mean,
Yeah, but that's already like when they put that article out and said fighters accepted, agreed to the terms. Spence said, "Yeah, I'll fight." Bud said, "Yeah, I'll fight." Okay, but now let's sit at the table, promoter to promoter. Terrence Crawford, Terrence Crawford Promotions to PBC Promotions talk now. Errol Spencer agree. Okay, he's out the window now. Let's put him on the side. He don't need to say no more. Al Heyman speaking for him. Bud speaking for himself. Bud say, okay, I want to be able to the same things you see, the same things you're signing off on. I want the same thing. I
right,
want the same. And Al Heyman like, no, we can't do that. Like, wait, what? So you telling me if me and you right now start a boxing page and we're making money, and I say, hey, let's split it this amount, and you say, okay, well, I want to see the accounts and I want to have the same access to the accounts to see everything that's coming in, and I say no, how would that make you feel? Like,
right.
wait, because I can tell you, oh, we making $1,000 every show, man, but really we're making 2,000, and you wouldn't even know, right?
Right.
That's what Al Heyman's trying to pull on Bud.
So I saw an interview where Errol Spence, I guess he was a little bit tipsy, but they asked him the question of Bud Crawford. It was some time ago. It was after a fight. I don't know if it was Virgil Ortiz or some fight. They asked him a question, and he said that for the Bud Crawford fight, it would be like the split would be something like 20-80, 30-70. So you're basically confirming that that's really what I mean, was kind of the negotiation. They were trying to put it down all the way down. So technically, they wouldn't have to. They, but Crawford would reject the fight pretty much, and no
That's what
guarantees.
that's what they thought, and he was like, no, you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna accept it because after this fight, I'll be the man. I'll be the one calling the shots. Now there won't be no who brings to the table because let's be realistic. Like Spence team is comparing numbers with Bud fights that aren't comparable. You comparing a top fight that you had with Garcia versus Bud and Mean Machine. Like, how can you compare those numbers? Those are different level fighters. And then they're talking about how many people come into the fight. You're in Dallas, Texas. What is it, 4 or 5 million people? And then you comparing fights that Bud had in Omaha, where we got 15,000, people at the arena, but we only got 500,000 people here. Like, you can't compare those numbers. Like, but with this fight right here, this fight, Spence and Crawford, you got the same amount of people that want to see both people fight in the boxing world.
That's
But
absolutely true.
about that because Bud said, you know what? I don't even care about all that stuff y'all talking anymore. I just want to fight.
So this Bud Crawford, from all the videos that I've seen, has always been the person who seemed to pursue Errol Spence. Like, and I give you a case because in the case of Keith Thurman, Spence was chasing Keith Thurman down, and he even called him Rumtime. I know that Keith Thurman also ran away from Bud, so that's in the record too. But
Yeah.
but
Bud been Spence before he even got to 140, 147. He was
right.
calling for Spence at 140, not because Spence was a man, but because everybody kept on throwing Spence in the thing. At first, Bud was going for Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman was a man at first. But people say, oh, what about Spence? Yeah, I'll fight him too. I want to fight him too. Yeah.
Right. So it seems for some strange reason that Keith Thurman, so when Keith Thurman was, so technically Floyd Mayweather ducked kind of Keith Thurman, he was his mandatory. Then Keith Thurman ducked Errol Spence. And now it seems like Errol Spence is doing what he was saying about Keith Thurman, that he was doing to him with Crawford. Would that be a right assessment?
Yeah. It's crazy. But like I was saying, it's not a lot of times it's not Errol Spence. It's not
Mhm.
Errol Spence doing that. Because Errol Spence at the end of the day, he's a fighter signed to PBC.
Mhm.
So end of the day, he's speaking everything you see him online. He's speaking as a fighter. Oh, Bud running, Bud scared, Bud don't want to fight. He's speaking as a fighter. Everything Bud speaking as a businessman now. He'd already spoke as a fighter for years. He already spoke. I want to fight this dude. I want to unify. But now he's speaking like, okay, if we're gonna agree to this, if I'm gonna agree to this, we're gonna do this right as businessmen. And y'all don't do it right, which is, he's not asking for nothing that he shouldn't be asking for.
Right.
If y'all don't make this fight, if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do as a businessman, then I'm gonna move on to some other business,
Right.
which Bud did. Bud didn't go straight from Errol Spence and pick this guy. Like people say, we don't know who this guy is. Go look at the rankings and see this guy is ranked number 6, and Bud started from the top.
Mhm.
Ortiz, all them, he offered fights. They turned down Keith Thurman. They turned the fights down. So we
Mm.
keep going down until something land.
Right. I see.
I was the first that landed,
Yeah,
and
and then it was a quick replacement as well. Like they needed something to fight in December. I'm sure a lot of the big names didn't want to fight Buck Crawford.
yeah, the big names turned down a fight. The
Mm.
big names turned a fight. So you got to make things work. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, this is his career.
Right.
It's not like we just out here like, oh, well, I'm gonna fight today, and I'm gonna go and live my life and do something else. No, this is what he do. This is what we want to do.
As
It's
a box.
it's been over a year, and people got to realize too. There's other things on the back end. Bud had a title. If you don't fight in a year, you have to relinquish that title. You know what I mean?
Right.
So gotta fight. Bud needs to fight, and y'all ain't making the stuff happen. He gonna do it elsewhere.
It's very strange for me as a boxing fan, and I love boxing history, but what I've seen is that it seems like Errol Spence has no problems in making Mikey Garcia go up, a few weight classes. You call it one weight class, that's fine.
Right.
He seems that he had no problem fighting Mikey, not Mikey, but what's his name, Danny, who also came from 140. But for some reason or another, it's just they can't guarantee a purse with Bud. I mean, it's just they're going to make more money than either Mikey or Danny Garcia. It just doesn't make any financial sense. PBC or what they're doing, it just doesn't. It wouldn't even make sense. Me
It's,
personally, I think Errol Spence is intimidated, and I can tell you that I don't think he'll fight Bud, and he won't also fight Jaron Ennis, which is mandatory because I
yeah,
saw.
that's why he said he's moving up because if he don't fight Bud, oh, now he got to fight Boots. And it's like if you don't want to fight Bud, you ain't want to fight Boots either. Because they have similar style. This guy is younger and hungrier though, because now he don't have a title and he want to take everything you got. So either way, he's stuck in a corner,
Do
and
you
he shouldn't blame Bud or anybody. All you have to do is blame his promoter, his advisor, whoever you want to call Al Heyman. I don't know who he is to him because Al Heyman, they have different titles. Yeah, blame him though. Like, and these people, these fans can make and say whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day, it's always the people who don't matter that has the biggest opinions in boxing. Like at the end of the day, that's where Bud is now. He like, you know what? Like he don't have to speak. People always want to say this stuff in the boxing world. Whatever, you could think what you want to think. But at the end of the day, it's not going to stop his legacy and what he's doing.
do you think Crawford will be undisputed and will in 147, which is really sad if Errol Spence turns this fight doesn't happen in the case of Errol Spence because he's never really gone up in any division. He could be undisputed right now if he just worked out the things with his manager or whatever. But do you think it will be kind of a robbery for Terence Crawford to not have the opportunity to become undisputed in two weight classes?
Yes, and I feel like this is where I'm at with it. And if I can speak unbiasedly, not as Bud being my friend or anything, I think if the Errol Spence fight doesn't happen and Errol Spence gives those titles up, Bud will Bud won't unify. that weight class. Not because he's not able to, but because now he's gonna have to chase down everybody who got those titles. And being a 35-year-old man, like that's a lot of more time that he won't have to unify.
Right. And it seems like in boxing there is a problem with a lot of fighters trying to unify. It seems like many of them don't want to unify and don't want to give the opportunity to the other fighter to become an undisputed champion. We saw it with Canelo Alvarez in the case of Demetrius Andrade, where they were offered 40 million, but then they turned down the undisputed championship and they went against Kovalev with a rehydration clause with
I,
37 years old.
yeah,
Yeah.
the only time these unifications happen is when the two fighters both have titles. They have like 2-2 or 3-1. You know, those are the times when they unify because they both are going for the same thing. They both had the same thing to lose. But as far as a person who have all the titles, they don't seem to give a lot of other fighters the chance to unify and take them from them unless it's a mandatory.
Are you somewhat worried that they might also duck you as you go up in the rankings because you're a good boxer, you're undefeated. Are you somewhat worried that they might do that to you?
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it because like the sad thing is nowadays the boxing world is kind of like TikTok and Instagram. The
Right.
popularity contest. It's a popularity contest. So I feel like because I'm not a big star,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna get the fights that I want to get, or people's gonna look at me like, "Who are you?" Like that's the whole point. Like I never understand people like, "Oh, you're nobody. Who are you?" To that's the whole point of trying to fight the best because you want to get known. You know
Right.
what I mean? I want to get in these places where people start saying, "Oh, this guy is good. Who is he?" You know, what I mean? It doesn't just come out the blue air. It's not like it drops down from the sky like, "Oh, hey, you're a star. You have to earn it." But give me the opportunity to earn it.
Right.
And nowadays, that's what the boxing world is. It's like they don't. A lot of people don't give the opportunity for people to become those stars.
Yeah, that's sad. That's very sad. That's actually terrible. It's kind of like the only sport I believe that does that. They don't give you the opportunity to shine. I feel that's messed up, and I think boxing should really look into that because that's not fair for fighters who are coming up, but they don't make as much money as another fighter that might be more commercial. I just think that's unreasonable.
Right.
Uh,
It kind of sometimes makes me want to go out here the next like 4 or 5 fights and look bad at all my fights on purpose. But oh yeah, he's dope. Him, yeah, I'll stop. And then I get the Canelo fight because you think, oh, is this a tune-up fight? Oh yeah, and I come and knock him off. They're like, damn, wait, where did I come from? You
well,
know, kind of like how what's the cat from Australia that is fought Haney?
you're talking about George Cambosos, yeah,
Yeah, Bosa. Like him, like Teofimo, I looked at him like, this is another, walking apart guy.
right,
Actually, good
yeah, yeah, he
guy.
was
Actually,
good.
good. People to sleep. People slept on him. Like that's how I feel like I'm gonna have to come up. I have to come up and come out of nowhere. People think this underestimate me.
Yeah, just say you have an injury before you come. You have an injury or something that works.
Yeah,
Don't want
I'm,
you now.
I'm watching this. I'm not the same fighter I used to be. I'm not. I'm
Exactly.
like. I just want to get back in the ring. I'm not. I'm not that good anymore.
Exactly. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give some tips. Yeah, he actually has a problem with his arm. If you hit his arm, like you'll beat him. Okay, thank you for the tip. I'll fight him
Right,
then.
man. And my arms and my legs hurt, man. Yeah, gotta
All right.
play. Right, gotta play half dead.
Exactly. So, so coming to the Crawford situation, is Crawford going to stay in 147, or he is moving up? Because there's also, I mean, he said that a fight with Jermell Charlo is a possibility. I mean,
Yeah,
for him, is that a real possibility?
It's a possibility. I can't speak for him and say, yeah, he's going to do it because he's his own man. You know, I never really had a conversation. We talk all the time about stuff, and his plan was to, I want to fight Errol Spence, and then I'll be mandatory and move up and fight Jamel Charlo. Like, that was his plan, but
Right.
he still wants to fight, Errol Spence, but like the main thing people just not paying attention to is Bud kept telling I'm fighting by the end of this year. I'm fighting for the end of this year.
Yeah.
Fighting by the end of this year, if it's with Arrow or not. And then afterwards, I'm gonna revisit this. He's gonna revisit it. He's not like, oh, he's not fighting Errol Spence. It's not gonna happen. He still wants to fight. But what priority is right now is he has to fight.
He
He
needs to
has to.
keep active. He needs to keep active. Pretty much, you have to keep active. Yeah.
And he never said this out of his mouth, but I feel like as a fighter and know that I've held a title. And after they gave my title before the year. When I first got injured, I looked up and Edgar Berlanga, Edgar whatever his name, what is his name?
Bum Larga.
Edgar Berlanga was fighting for my title, and they didn't even tell me. I didn't
Yeah.
get a curse bell or nothing. I just looked up. I'm like, everybody like, hey, ain't that your title? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, dang, they didn't even give me a courtesy like, hey, we got to get your title up, because you've been holding it for, it wasn't even a year yet.
They
My
did
year,
a they did a Clarissa Shields to you, pretty much. That's
it
what they
was,
did to
it
you.
was messed up, man. I'm like, this shows how the boxing world is because, like, you have a year to defend, but they didn't even give me a year. Even though I was injured, still, like, you didn't wait a year. Like, that's just messed up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but hey, it don't matter. I didn't care. I didn't, I mean, at the end of the day, I was just laughing at it. It's just crazy how it is. Because NABO is just an inner title anyway. I don't
Right.
want to world. But it was just it was a whole concept around it. Like, it's crazy how they do stuff.
Do
Um,
do you think? I mean, do you think that Errol Spence will go up? Do you think the whole reason, or it might be that he might actually really go up because he can't make weight anymore? So somewhat also he's not interesting outside of what you said of the promotional situation because he has Jaron Boots and that's a great fight as well. But do you think his intention of moving up is really kind of because in part he sees Crawford and Jaron Ennis and he might be bigger than his weight. He wants to move up to 154. Do you think that he will move up to 154?
I never like to use this term, but I can see him doing it as a duck move. Not just from Terrence, but from Boots too. Like, I literally see them doing that just so I think his O is more important than the titles. Him losing to him is more important than those titles to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
agree.
my opinion, though. That's just my opinion,
No,
my
I
mind.
agree. I agree 100% with
Yeah,
you in
opinion.
that.
You know what I mean? I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. But that's just how I feel. Not saying that's exactly what it is. And that's what a lot of these people in this boxing world, they do. They will use their opinions and promote them as facts.
Right. Well, he didn't show that much
That's
aggression. Uh, he didn't show that much aggression with Crawford or Jaron Ennis. In fact, Jaron Ennis' team went after the Kuster Clayton fight to talk to Errol Spence, and Errol Spence was like, "You need to earn your shot." So that's already a strange move because he's mandatory. But do you think that aggression that he put on Keith Thurman is just not there with Crawford and Jaron Ennis? It
of
just seemed
course.
like he.
Of course not. And if anybody say any otherwise, there's just being stupid. And it is, what I mean, just riding on Team Spence. Like, but let's be realistic. Like, you're not gonna have the same energy shooting a shot, trying to fight Thurman and fighting Bud. Bud, you're gonna Keith Thurman, it's kind of like going to a pickup game. You be like, oh, I play this game because you can beat the guys. Versus you got a good opponent. You go, oh, let me bring my good shoes. Let me make sure I stretch and make sure I ain't work out today. You want to make sure everything is perfectly aligned. So with Spence fighting Bud, everything gotta be perfectly aligned for him to be the best version as him. But fighting the Keith Thurman, he won't have that same type of preparation and aggression
Right.
towards it.
By the way, man, I've seen your videos, man. They crack me up, man. You make some videos, man. They're funny as hell, dude.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. You make some funny videos, man. You got some really genius stuff, man. So,
I just
anybody who, yeah,
yeah, I just
you
you
guys
know,
gotta subscribe to his channel. Yeah,
yeah, definitely on Instagram, Stephen Nelson Boxing. Same
that's
thing on
right.
TikTok, Stephen Nelson Boxing. A lot of people too, they see my videos like, man, you be on TikTok. I'm like, I didn't make that on TikTok. I edit my own videos. I edit my own videos. I don't use TikTok filters and stuff to edit. But I'm like that with everything. I just like to show who I am outside of boxing. I'm not a lot of people. I be arguing online or debating online with people, and they always want to, oh, you just a dumb boxer. I'm like, all right, if you really knew who I was, you wouldn't be talking the
Right.
stuff you right now. Boxing is one part of me. I do so many other things.
Yeah, that's the sign of a genius, though. You're all rounded. You like to
Yeah,
do different things, so that's
it's
good.
that like no, I'm a king of all trades, not a jack.
There you go. That's your name right there, King Steven Nelson. So
Yep.
another question here. Do you think if he can't get the Errol Spence fight, what fight do you think will be the best one for him in 147? Because I mean, there's only a few fights, and one obviously would be Virgil Ortiz. But you said that Virgil Ortiz didn't, and I heard some interviews with Virgil Ortiz. He doesn't seem like he's trying to make that mandatory happen. Is that correct?
Yeah. I um Virgil Ortiz turned the fight down.
Okay.
Not saying that he turned it down because he was scared. It could have been, oh, he just wasn't ready to fight a fight in December. I don't know, but he turned down the fight. Um,
Okay.
fight for December. So ain't no telling why he turned it down. I can't speak for him, but I can tell you that he turned down the fight.
Keith Thurman also seems like he doesn't want anything
Yeah,
with.
that's when he turned down the fight too. And when I say he turned down the fight, a lot of time boxers don't understand. It don't always be the like I was telling people. It don't always be the fighter that turn down fights. Sometimes it get land. It'll land on the promoter's desk, and they like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not even gonna bring it to his attention. And they don't bring it to their fighter's attention. I've had people come to me and say, and be in my Instagram inbox talking stuff like, "Oh, you scared to fight? You don't want to fight me?" And the guy was like, "Who are you? I never even heard of you. Who are you?" And then I go and show my manager, and be like, "Yeah, we turn him down because he's not even the top 10, top 15 we're looking for." And I'm like, "Oh." So a lot of times the fighters don't even get know know what fights were turned down, and they're
Well,
under.
Well, I admire fighters like Jojo Diaz who don't turn down the fights and they take all the
Yeah,
fights and they go. I mean, he loses, and I think the best are always going to lose if they fight the best. But
that's,
I admire fire like Stefan Fulton. He fights everybody. He takes all the fights. There's no ducking in his division,
yeah.
but I just don't see that in other divisions.
That's what boxing needs to get back to. Boxing needs to get back to the old days when people can lose, and come right back and win and lose and win. And it's like, man, we want to see a trilogy. We want to see that fight again.
Right. Once you recover and you get better and you get your tune-up fights, who would you like to fight? There's got to be somebody you would like to fight. Who would that be? I mean, there's got to be somebody in that division you would like to fight.
Um, I mean, of course, I want to fight the big names. There is nobody that I'm like, nah, I don't want that fight. Because none of them are. We're not friends. None of us are friends, so it's not like, oh, I ain't fighting my friend. I mean, I'm cool with some. I'm cool with like Caleb Plant. Like I was in the amateur Caleb Plant. We was roommates. We was sweat. We see each other. We dap each other up. But if they offered a fight, I will fight them. It'd be a good fight. It'd be a great fight. But it's
You
no bad blood because at the end of the day, it's a sport to me. Sometimes these fighters take it to a whole different level and be talking about each other's families, and disrespecting each other, and that's when it's like, all right, this more than a fight now. I'm about to put my heart in this, but like I want to fight. You know, all them names, Benavidez and Canelo was my dream fight with him. Canelo with the titles is a dream
Right.
fight, not because I want to fight Canelo. I would love to be in talks for the fight to unify. I mean, or a fight for all the belts, have a chance to win all the belts in one fight. Like that'd be super dope.
Yeah, that is correct. And this is another question which I wanted to ask you. Do you think that once you get to that point where let's say Caleb Plant, you think he would want to fight you if you offer him a fight?
Yeah, I know his personality. You know, like he's one of them people that he want to make the best fights happen too. You know, I tip my hat off him. He that type of guy that you know he's gonna get in there and display his best and fight whoever in line for him to fight. You know, I don't see him ducking no fights.
I don't know that Benavidez situation. I don't know, man. I don't think he wants to fight Benavidez. That's just me, though.
But I've seen him multiple times call for that fight. I've seen him ask for that fight, want that fight, and then he's even shown proof on his social media of like the fight being turned down on Benavidez end, and Benavidez done the same thing. So that's why I said a lot of times, man, these promoters and these managers be the ones in the way.
But do you think that Benavidez is the most avoided fighter in 168? I mean, a lot of people could make a case for that.
Uh,
Nobody wanted to unify with him when the other belt
not the
holders
most.
had the titles.
The most avoided is Andre.
Well, I mean, I'm talking like okay, Andre came to 168, and I'm saying
Yeah,
168, not generally speaking. Andre, I would agree, is the most avoided, but
yeah,
I'm talking 168.
yeah. I think he is. I get that to him.
Do you think he'll have to go to 175 to fight better BF? Because it seems like that I don't know if that's
That,
going to be
I mean, I feel like he belongs in 175 because
okay.
168, and you know, I don't know. I think he'd do better. I think he'd get better fights at 75.
Okay, 75. Who do you think is the most dangerous fighter in your division?
The most dangerous fighter in my division. Um, man, Canelo. I would say Canelo.
Do you think so? Okay, what
Yeah,
about
you know,
Damor?
Canelo. I said he lost at 75, but I think at 68 he's the most. That's why he's the most unified. He went. He fought all champions to get his titles.
What do you think of Dave Morrell Jr.?
He a good upcoming prospect. I won't say the most dangerous right now because he hasn't had those big fights. I'm just
Hmm.
comparing guys to the fights they've had, the big fights, and proving themselves. Because a lot of times you'll see a fighter upcoming, they look great, they're amazing. Then they get to the top level, and it's like, oh, you dropped the ball.
So, would you consider in a plant fight versus Benavidez, who would you have winning that fight?
And Plant Benavidez, that fight will be um, all based on who has the best game plan. That's a 50-50 fight. It depends on who do what they're supposed to do in that fight.
Okay,
Um,
so you 50-50 for that fight.
yeah, I see Caleb being the most skilled and gifted fighter, but Benavidez being the more awkward fighter.
Hmm.
He can make those big fights and the big changes in his fights with his punch output.
Right.
But somebody that's a good boxer like Caleb, he can. There's a lot of openings for him to counter. So that's why I say like it all depends on who has the best game plan. Them guys like if you break it down scientifically, like they both line up for each other. And it's like who gonna execute the best? Who gonna execute their plan better?
Now, here's an interesting question for you. Paulie Malignaggi came with some very strange comments about Lomachenko. Um, you know, being a white boy and beating Devin Haney. What do you think of Paulie Malignaggi in general?
A lot of times guys be talking. Like he's just a talkative person, man. Sometimes people talk a lot. They say a lot of bull crap because they just always talking, and stuff come out. They don't even think about it. They be like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like a Kanye West. Like some people just talk so much that they sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. Um, and it's funny when people like pull a race car in boxing, like that stuff don't. If you look, that stuff don't matter. For you look at Caleb Plant when he fought Durrell. I ain't losing
Yeah.
to the boy. He got stopped.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that matter.
yeah, would it make sense if he would have said, "Well, I think maybe Lomachenko could beat Devin Haney," but then to say this white boy is going to beat you, I mean, I don't know, that's weird. But anyway, what do you and who you think wins that fight between Devin Haney and Lomachenko if it does happen?
Whew. Um. Right now, Devin Haney. I got Devin Haney winning that fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Devin Haney beats him.
Yeah, I got Devin Haney because he know how to box long. And Lomachenko is real successful with fighters that's coming forward and flat footed. But I don't see him doing as good as he do with somebody who can box, a boxing puncher. Somebody who can box, move, and punch too. That was his problem with Teofimo.
That's
Teofimo can fight. He can fight and he can box.
what's a better fight for you, Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney, or Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury?
Oh, the better the more interesting fight for me would be Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson.
Okay.
It'd be a more tactical for me because I'm visual like that. But for a lot of fans, fight fans, the Usyk fight and Tyson Fury would be more fireworks
Hmm.
because they both got some openings. They both take some shots. They heavy, heavyweights. It is to be a more family. I mean, fan friendly fight. But for me, as a boxing analyst and the way I break down fights, the Shakur Stevenson and Haney fight will be more interesting. Some people call it boring. Some people call it, it'd be like chess though. It'd be like a chess match, watching
It
chess.
it's very funny because the people who started that rumor of boxing being bored, I did some research on this. I actually happened to be a lot of the Filipino fans who were fans of Manny Mayweather had a style that it was just better than Manny Pacquiao, and they started calling biters runners and all this stuff that came, really when that in that era of Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao, because nobody was saying that about Pernell Whitaker, nobody was saying that about a lot of fighters who had that style.
That's come from a lot of fake fans who don't really know boxing. Like
Yeah,
if they know the game of boxing is hit and don't get hit.
yeah.
Like I'm not going to sit there and punch and get punched, punch and get punched. Like, what are you accomplishing besides every time you get hit, you're losing a part of your brain? And that's why I laugh with people who don't like know nothing about boxing. They try to insult boxers and be like, you get punched upside the head all day. Like, I know what boxer you watch. I don't. I ain't about to get hit. If I get hit in sparring or anything, it's like, oh, good shot. I give it to you. Good shot. Cause I'm not about to sit there and be like, boom, 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 boom. Boom. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm moving. I'm slipping. You might raise and get a little shot here and there. You might get a jab or something, but I'm not about to sit there and take no beating. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, the way you fight, you definitely like to go inside and exchange
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm gonna get mines, but like it's all tactical. I'm never gonna come out straight out off the gate and be like and go just for the kill. That's how you get a lot of shots. You get a lot of brain damage and stuff. I'm gonna break you down, and once I see you broken down, that's when I'm gonna start going for no big shots and get you out of there.
Do you think the old school way of training is better than the new school way of training boxing?
No, new school way of training to me is the best. We're more efficient. We have more. you know, equipment. We have better teachings. We have medical different. We have so much more technology wise in medicine and in medical and everything that's and more advanced than the old school way. I think a lot of time it's just the new school mentality and the heart and the hunger that a lot of people don't have anymore. People don't have that drive. Like you'll see some guys, they're good in the gym. They look great in the gym, amazing. Then they get to a fight and they look the same. Everybody's
Yeah.
not like you can master the training and then master the techniques of boxing, but that don't make you a master at boxing. Once you get in
Hmm.
the ring, it's all about your mind, your mental, and your heart.
Yeah. Well, it seems like they're not risking as much as the old school fighters. That's for sure.
Exactly. It's all like the mentality now.
Yeah.
It's a lot different.
If you would agree, do you think there should be just one belt for division instead of four?
No, I like the four. I like the four belt division era. I like it
Why?
because it gives. It's kind of like NFL. How you got the AFC and the NFC, and you had a champion space. I wish there was better organization where once you get titles, now you can only fight other people with titles.
Hmm.
That's what I wish it would be like. But I feel like it gives more people a chance to work their way to the top with those titles and now unify. I feel like that's what the organization has to do, where once you get belts, you have to unify with another belt holder. All this running around and, oh, it's a business and stuff like that. That's where it becomes, nah, let's not do that.
But it makes it easier to duck though if you have four belts because now you can say, well, I have three belts. You just have one, huh? I'm better than you.
No, that's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
if it came up with that way where you have a belt, it's part of the organization where you have to fight somebody with a belt. It'll take away from all that ducking. It'd be like, okay, you rank five, you rank six, y'all fight. Oh, now
Yeah.
they got three. 3 and 2 fight. Now rank. Now 1 and 2 fight. They got the belt. Now you got a belt. You got the NABO. You got the WBC. This person did the same thing over here. They got the WBA. They got to fight.
Right.
Meanwhile, the IBF and the WBC over here fighting, and they got to fight. Now we got 2 and 2. Now there ain't no AB side. It's 2 and 2. You got two belts.
Mm.
I got two belts. Now we're fighting for the ring belt in all the belts.
Right. Yeah.
That's
No,
what
that would be beautiful. But
it is
it's
beautiful like that. Just like I said, in basketball, football, you got the AFC, NFC, and then you got the championship game. Like, oh, this is the Super Bowl. This is the
mhm,
NBA Finals.
right. So, you think they should be entering titles, or do you think those are a waste of time?
Um, yeah, I think that's a way for the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the like
Organizations to make money or
yeah, where
something?
make more money because now you got the belts. Now you got sanctioning fees. You got the super and the like. What super?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he a WBA. Wait, hold on. Oh, he the super champ. Like, what are you talking about?
You're the Aztec Warrior champion today, and tomorrow the Puma
Yeah,
champion, and
the interim like, no, man. Like, that's
yeah,
why I said the NABO belt. I didn't care about that belt. It was something to shine and hey, I got a belt, but I didn't care about that. My whole focus was I want the WBO. Maybe this puts me in line for it, but in actuality, it don't because this person who don't have the NABO can fight for the title before I do because he's more popular. Like what? So at the end of the day, it don't matter. That stuff is just for the sanctioned bodies to make more money off the
yeah.
fighters. That's the only reason. That's
If
all.
you if you have to say something to Errol Spence, what would you tell him right now?
If I had to say something to Errol Spence, it would be sit down and talk to Al Heyman and make the fight happen before you move up. Make the fight happen. If you really want it, sit down and make the fight happen. Do Tell him to do what he's supposed to do as a businessman to make the fight happen next.
Okay. So you heard it here from King Steven Nelson, who you are going to be in the card then, or are you going to be fighting for sure?
Yep. God
Okay.
willing, I'll be on the card.
Okay. And so that will be with the David Avanesian fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I
Errol
can't.
If it was Errol Spence, I would be on that card too.
Yeah.
Because like I'm a free agent now. So
Yeah.
Bud fight. He swing, I swing.
He's saying, and you're very entertaining. So everybody, I recommend that you watch his fights, and he's a great guy. So, so can you give us one more time where they can follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Steven Nelson Boxing, TikTok, Steven Nelson Boxing, on Twitter, Soul Code Nelson, and Facebook, Steven Soul Code Nelson is my fan page.
Okay. So you heard it here from Steven Nelson. Thank you so much, man,
Yeah,
for being here. Some other time, man, I'll try to call you up again if you're up to it, and have this
yeah, definitely.
amazing discussion about boxing. We're true purist fans here in Golden Era. We have a
Yeah,
webpage, and our goal is to come back to the old school and actually replace the Ring magazine and have our own belt that would be for fighters who actually take all the challenges, which is something that we
right.
just don't see today. And it's just really disgusting because we as boxing fans, we're being robbed from really good fights, and this fight should happen. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just unbelievable.
yeah. And to the people out there, man, I'm more than a boxer, man. So you can follow me if you want to get inspired for anything. You want some comedy, you like art, you like engineering, like I do it all. So you want to be entertained, just go follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me.
Yeah, you're like that guy who used to invent everything. What was his name? The guy who did every single invention. Like he did like 200 or 300 different inventions. It was like back in the 30s or the 20s. I don't remember it. It wasn't Graham Bell. He was the guy. It was you know what I'm
I,
talking about?
I don't know.
Thomas Edison, man. You look like Thomas Edison, man. You just got so much different things, bro.
Probably the Renaissance man.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, Nelson. Well, we thank you so much, man, for being here. And we will see you next time.
Okay, appreciate you, man. You
All
guys
right.
stay.
Thank you, man. All right. Have a good one. All right. So, lo habéis visto todos aquí. Hemos tenido aquí a Steven Nelson. Voy a recompilar un poco todo lo que había dicho. Le pregunté sobre esta situación sobre Terence Crawford. Y como os he dicho antes, Terence Crawford decidió rebajar su oferta al 35%. La pelea tendría que haber sido 50-50, pero Crawford quería la pelea y lo rebajó al 35%. Después de ser rebajado al 35%, el equipo de Errol Spence, él dice que fue también culpa de Al Heyman también, no le querían garantizar una bolsa. Y al no garantizar una bolsa, entonces significa que pueden pagarle cualquier cosa y están técnicamente diciendo a Terence Crawford que no quieren la pelea, que es exactamente lo que os he dicho antes. Nada, cuando le pregunté sobre la situación de Errol Spence subiendo arriba, que era cuando Errol Spence supuestamente iba a subir, le pregunté sobre la situación de por qué él cree que va a subir. Y yo le dije que tal vez sea porque está evitando una mandatoria con John Ennis y está evitando una unificación con Terence Crawford. Y dijo que probablemente eso es verdad. Está intentando evitar y podría ver eso como una manera de hacer el caniche para subir a la próxima división. ¿Ok? Que es lo que yo ya estaba pensando hace bastante tiempo y lo que Errol Spence probablemente no quería hacer. ¿Ok? Porque él no quiere, según Nelson, él no quiere perder su invicto y simplemente prefiere llevar su invicto que pelear con nuestros boxeadores para su legado. También le pregunté sobre si él veía la misma energía que Errol Spence ponía con Keith Thurman en comparación con la energía que él estaba poniendo con Terence Crawford? Y la respuesta es no. Él obviamente no está poniendo esa misma energía a Spence que puso con Kizuma diciendo que le evitaba, siguiéndole Instagram, buscándole. No está poniendo esa energía con Terence Crawford. Él nunca lo ha hecho, o sea, no entiendo por qué la gente dice eso. Y fuera de eso, eh, eh, está evitando también a John Ennis, que eso es una señal extra para que sepáis que no quiere la pelea con Terence Crawford, porque son dos boxeadores muy peligrosos. Otra cosa interesante también que pasó con esto es que aparentemente Virgil Ortiz no quiso una pelea con Terence Crawford, ni Keith Thurman tampoco. So, también nos podemos olvidar de eso. So, es la mandatoria Virgil Ortiz para pelear contra Terence Crawford y el equipo de Ortiz no quisieron la pelea. So, I mean, eso es la verdad. So, al final del día, he sido siempre muy persistente en mis puntos. Como veis, siempre he tenido razón en lo que estoy diciendo. Yo no voy, invento rumores, yo voy e intento clarificar lo que está pasando. Y la clarificación de todo lo que estoy diciendo solo puede de dos maneras. Uno, o estoy diciendo la verdad o estoy mintiendo. Si estoy mintiendo, por favor, clarificar en qué punto estoy mintiendo. No tengo ningún problema en admitir eso. Pero si estoy diciendo la verdad y tú sigues dando tu opinión diciendo que eso es la verdad, tú, bro, estás mal de la cabeza. Y como dijo Steven Nelson, cualquier persona que en este punto de partida piense que Terence Crawford está evitando a Errol Spence está mal de la cabeza. ¿Ok? Está mal del coco y de la cabeza. Y eso es lo que es. So, si tenéis alguna pregunta aquí, podéis preguntarme ahora antes de cerrar y quiero dejar eso bastante claro para todos aquellos que sois fans de boxeo y aquí de Golden Era. So, estoy abierto a preguntas ahora mismo. So, cualquier pregunta, aquí podemos decir. Y de Jimmy Snow depuradora transforma la mierda en agua limpia. Yes, sir. Aquí vamos a decir las cosas como son. Absolutely. A mí me gustaba Canelo, dice Jumpy, hasta que las cosas no cuadran. Las cosas al final nunca cuadran cuando un boxeador evita a otro boxeador. A mí los puntos de inflexión son demasiado grandes para evitarlos. No hay ninguna cuestión sobre eso. So, ahora que tenemos este vídeo y lo hemos hecho para vuestra comunidad, para nuestra comunidad goldenera, hacernos un favor, danos un like aquí, nada más ver este vídeo y también, por favor, suscribiros aquí en nuestro canal y compartir nuestro vídeo con otras páginas que les guste el boxeo, que son personas que siguen el boxeo y así estamos. Dice... Y Dios cada joya sabe que Virgil Ortiz no está listo para Crawford, dice Manuel Rendón. Yes, sir. Dice Jimmy, le escuché a Nelson decir que Spence ya llevaba tiempo y se le sospechaba esos movimientos finales. Ya, como siempre he dicho. Él, como dijo, todo está clarificado aquí y las excusas ya son eh, parte del pasado. ¿Ok? So, si tienes alguna pregunta más, puedo entretenerla ahora. Ya, dice Carlos Jiménez, esto es lo mismo patrón que PBC, mantener sus campeones manteniendo la clase C y B. Frankie Jimmy, y al final, ¿con quién va a pelear Crawford? Va a pelear contra David Avenician porque nadie ha querido pelear con él. Crawford dijo que quería pelear en diciembre y intentaron buscar a Virgil Ortiz y otros boxeadores, pero no quieren ahora mismo pelear en diciembre porque es una corta fecha y el único que se subió era David Avenician, que está rankeado número 6 en el WBO. Dice, entonces hay que pensar que esta pelea no va a pasar nunca. Ha dicho Steven Nelson que Crawford sigue queriendo la pelea después de pelear contra David Avenician. Quiere seguir teniendo la pelea, pero que al final del día Spence tiene que pelear o no pelear. O sea, es una de las dos cosas. Lo quiere o no lo quiere y aparentemente va a subir de división. Fuera de eso, como repito una vez más, tiene a John Ennis como mandatoria. Entonces está atrapado, está en una posición muy difícil y eso va a complicar las cosas mucho. Dice, pues hay que dar el crédito a Venetian. Yeah, absolutamente. Estuve en varios canales, dice Jimmy, compartido Goldera, pero me decían loco y que no querían promocionar el canal. Y me bueno, ya está bien, sea lo que sea, la gente loca es ella. Los locos andan con locos, es un hospital mental. Entonces es como darle un libro de ciencia a una persona que ha perdido la cabeza. Esto no tiene ningún sentido, right? No, no tiene ningún sentido. No, no es para todo el mundo. Hay mucha gente inteligente, hay más gente más tonta en el mundo. Una pregunta más. Si tenéis alguna pregunta más, este es el momento de aclararlo. Dice, damn, dice, eso se tiene que saber, Spence, dos son caniche. Dice Agapito B. Pillati, dijo nunca, vamos a ver quién de los dos evitó a quién. Eso es absolutamente absurdo. Yeah. Yo lo dije, I mean, I told you this, os dije esto desde un principio, que Errol Spence no quería la pelea. Errol Spence no la quería, he never wanted to fight. Nunca quería la pelea. Y se nota, la energía que un boxeador desprende, se nota. Es algo que se nota, bro. Es algo que se nota. So, tendremos aquí publicado este artículo aquí en Golden Era para vosotros y de ahí también seguiremos adelante. Pero cualquier persona que os diga lo contrario puede venir a este vídeo y especialmente si hablan inglés o hablan español, me da igual. Y lección aprendida. Lección aprendida. No jodas con Golden Era. All right. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Alguna otra cuestión? Ya estamos en 1 hora y 1 minuto. ¿Qué opinas del Bronco hoy? Voy a ver si puedo ver la pelea. Tengo cosas que hacer, pero voy a ver si puedo hacer la pelea ya. Tuve que sacrificar este tiempo para hacer esto, pero vamos a ver. Será una muy buena pelea. Vamos a ver qué pasa con el Bronco. Pues sí. Le queda a Crawford solo Jermel. Es una posibilidad. Tiene 35 años. Crawford va a subir a 154. Es una posibilidad. Es una pelea que quieren. Vamos a ver qué hace el equipo de Crawford en este momento, porque quieren el indisputado primero. A mí es historia el indisputado con Spence, pero después de Avenisian vamos a ver qué va a pasar. We'll see what happens. Pero subir contra Jermel Charlo es una pelea donde obviamente no será el favorito Terence Crawford, pero él sí está dispuesto. All right, so así lo voy a dejar. Seguimos con más boxeo para todos que sois parte de Golden Era. Seguimos aquí triunfando. Es lo único que hacemos. Conseguimos victorias aquí, Vs aquí. Es lo único que conseguimos, ¿ok? Aquí es lo que hacemos. So, esto es parte y tradición de Golden Era. So, todo para vosotros y seguimos con más boxeo y jagonea a todo el mundo. Hasta la próxima. Deuces y peace out.